The day had begun so well. Having arrived at his ex-wife's family's house on Long Island late the night before, his son hurrying him out of the apartment and across the George Washington Bridge into the state, he had been welcomed, offered hospitality, coffee and a comfortable bed, sharing with Jack. That had been good. He had been anxious about the evening, and the welcome he was going to receive, based on their last meeting at Ben and Adrienne's wedding, which had been less than amicable. He couldn't blame them. If any man had treated Erica like that, or, if he had a sister, betrayed her trust, there would probably have been little difference in Jack Geller's or Ross' anger and aggression towards him. But, that night, as he brought their grandson with him, or rather Jack had brought his father, from an outsider's point of view, it seemed like any other Christmas Eve. They had been welcomed, they had been fed, and conversation had flowed, asking him about his job, asking him about his health. Nothing negative about his past mistakes had been discussed or thrown in his face, a vast change from Ben's reception night. But, that had been last night. Now, almost a whole 24 hours had gone by, and, to say that a prevailing climate of hostility now hung between him and Mr. and Mrs. Geller Sr., as well as their eldest son, would have been something of an understatement. The day had begun superbly. He had woken to the sound of Jack rummaging through his bag for his toiletries, calling through to his sister and cousin that he would be there in a minute. The E's had been finishing a Christmas morning YouTube filming while Jack had collaborated with his own version of subtle makeup, before all three of them loaded their finished edit onto their respective channels. Ross and Rachel had greeted him and offered him an orange juice, and Monica had beamed at him, then to their children, wishing them all a very Merry Christmas before entering her mother's kitchen and taking over the cooking for the day. Then, the morning had been spent exchanging presents while Ben and Adrienne announced their big news. The Gellers Sr. were going to be great-grandparents. They had all chatted amicably, affection had been shared and future plans discussed. Ben and Adrienne were living with her parents while they saved up for a house, and they planned to stay there till they had saved enough money to move out, with Adrienne assuring her parents and grandparents-in-law that her mother and father had said that they expected them to come over as if Ben and Adrienne had their own place. Such was intent on making sure that no one was excluded. Yes, all that had gone swimmingly. Now, sitting out on the garden bench as loud arguing could still be heard indoors, Chandler Bing leaned back, looking up at the clear night sky and wishing he knew some more constellations than the none he already knew. What had caused the bickering, shouting and opening up of old wounds, he was trying to put his finger on. Had it been the mention of Christmases past? Was it the reminiscing of their Christmases when the children had been small, in relation to Ben and Adrienne's news? No. Not told Mom and Susan yet, Ben had confirmed as Ross had grinned at the small victory from an ancient grudge. He was quite sure they were all still amicable at the turkey and cranberry sauce course, but definitely by the time it had come to dessert, words, deep, unkind and painful, were being thrown about, friendly fire being sustained on both sides while incendiaries exploded around Chandler, who was a little too slow on the uptake, and definitely too sober to handle it. In fact, it had been exactly his sobriety, or incidences of the lack of such condition by him in the past, that had caused at least one missile to be thrown, and from his ex-best friend, too. Ross had been incandescent, and it wasn't just from the champagne he had been drinking to celebrate his own son's impending fatherhood. Looking up to the blackness, Chandler folded his arms and legs at the ankle as he heard Monica scream at her mother. Ben and Adrienne had, an hour before, made their excuses and left. Jack had, as was his way, sprung to his mother's defense but had not challenged his grandmother, who was still busy arguing with her daughter. Emma and Erica had excused themselves back into their room, purporting to be using Erica's new digital camera and wanted to tag something on the end of their video. Or so they had said, at least. And so, when he realized he was in the middle of a conversation which was unwinnable, but then choosing to be the sacrificial lamb on the pyre of self-righteous, not now so very sober in-laws choosing his failings to be the cause of everything being wrong in the family, in the neighborhood, in the country, probably in the universe if Judy Geller had come out just then and looked up to the beautiful stars. It had been a far cry from he and Monica's meeting. She had arrived early that morning with the ease, and they had talked between themselves outside, practical, non-provocative questions. Questions about each other's health, and had they known about Jack's part in the cursed child. Questions about Erica's taxable income now that she and Emma were making so much. Now, the only thing that felt cursed was himself, and he would pay Erica's tax bill himself right now if only people would stop arguing. "Are you still off the wagon?" he remembered Jack Geller saying to him as he served him a slice of turkey. "It's on the wagon, Dad," said Monica, and her father had snapped back a quick, "I know what I mean," reply. "I am," said Chandler, who was getting used to his past indiscretions being discussed. "But, after a lot of help, Mr. Geller, I can see now that alcohol was not going to solve my," he saw Monica mouth shape the word, our problems. "Your problems, Chandler, dear." "Monica did nothing wrong," interjected Judy, cutting up her turkey. "Well, that's not what you said when I turned to you," retorted Monica, throwing down her fork, glancing around to her children, before looking at her plate. And so, it had continued. Chandler's mistakes had been the fuel for that Christmas's family fight. When he realized that he had not actually been needed in it, Chandler had got up and gone outside, his part, seemingly done. Had he known that his presence would have caused this, he might have gone with Joey after all. But that would have meant depriving Joanna, although he could have bought a third. Joanna. Was she having a good time with her family? They would have landed in the early hours of the morning U.S. time, which would have been late morning in London. By the evening, though, she would have been able to get up to where she needed to be, no doubt, and seen her family. Let's hope she was having a better time of it than the Gellers, although to Chandler, Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without any fighting. It was only when Monica sat down next to Chandler that his mind shifted from Joanna Lucas to his ex-wife. She leaned against his arm, as she used to do when they were first going out, and looked up the stars. Automatically, Chandler kissed her on top of her head. "How many do you know?" Monica asked, looking heavenward. "I used to know about a half dozen." She craned her head around, searching. "Constellations?" Chandler replied confidently. "You want to know how many constellations I know?" "Yeah?" asked Monica, turning to look at him. "None," he declared, laughing to himself. "Not one. They're just suns billions of miles away. Although," he pointed to Orion, "that one looks like a man with his penis out." "Orion," replied Monica, pointing up. "Well, Ryan he might be. I think he still looks indecent. And they teach astronomy to kids." Chandler lapsed into silence too, when he realized Monica was silent. "I wish I had never been the cause of that," he said, at length, coming straight out with it. "If I could go back in a time machine to fix all what I did back then, you know I would." "Yes, Chandler," said Monica, quietly. "I know you would. We all made some mistakes we were not proud of. That wasn't really caused by you." She waved her hands towards the now drawn curtain conservatory windows. "It's me, it always is. Never living up to Mom's expectations. I dared to defend you tonight, but if it wasn't that it would have been something else. The twins. My business, meeting Rei. Rei. Nothing." She looked at him, then glanced towards the house. "Well, actually, something. I've been kinda wanting to talk to you about a couple of things. But I don't think today is the right time to discuss it, not after all that." "I'm sorry," said Chandler, taking her hand. "You know, if it helps, you could come back with me and Jack to the apartment. It would be a bit like the old days, but—" "Oh, Chandler. That's awfully good of you to think about me. But, well. No. I want to stay. She'll have calmed down in like an hour or so." "Right." Chandler lapsed into silence again. "You got the maintenance for this month? It transferred into your bank properly? 'Cause I got it sorted out last time for Erica, when the bank messed up." Nodded Monica. "It wasn't that?" "No, Chandler," replied Monica, emphatically. "No, I mean. Erica got the money. And I think right around this time next year she'll be paying you maintenance, with the money she's making. No, she said, looking at him. About you and me, Chandler, I wanted to ask you. But before Monica could say anything, the back conservatory doors were open, her mother holding them open. Chandler, your portable telephone is ringing. And Monica, you've missed a call. Is it alright I mention who? Now you've had your little chat with your incompetent ex-husband, who we have always welcomed under our roof and then ruined your life by abandoning you and your 2 children. Mom! Screamed Monica, getting up. She looked back at Chandler, whose face was frozen in a frown as he considered his ex-mother-in-law's words. That's in the past. So, tell me he hasn't drunk the vodka today? It was by mistake. His was orange juice. How was he to know Rachel had put hers down right next to his? Well, you know what I said when you insisted he come today, said Judy Geller, raising her hands in mock surrender at the argument. Once a drug addict and alcoholic. Monica yelled to the door being closed by her mom, and she got to her feet, turning her back to the house, folding her arms and looking at the floor. She hasn't got past that, then, said Chandler, flatly. He knew what his mother-in-law was like, and now she had another reason to dislike him. But it seemed that what had caused the woman's anger was that it had been Monica who had invited him, rather than intrinsically his presence. Look, I'm just gonna go back to the city. I'll ask Jack if he wants to stay and get a cab back when he's finished having family time here. No, Chandler. Monica clenched her fists and declared, man. Come and sit down, he said, and tell me what's bothering you. You really want to know? I really want to know. He watched as the breeze from the temperate Christmas night's air tousled her hair as he waited to listen to his ex-wife. She's against me expanding, she thinks I can't do it on my own, take on the hotel trade. She says I don't have enough experience, capital, business knowledge to do this. And, do you? Yes. Or at least, where I don't, I have employed people. Good people. It's working. It's a success. I came from Lexington last night and Zach Hegarty, my regional manager, just won business in 3 separate states, one was Maryland. I could have my business, my food, served in Washington. Well, that's great. Chandler declared. I'd call for a celebration but, it would be pointless, you have had far too much and I am having none at all. Except for the accidental one, which will make me the big bad wolf in your family till time immemorial. He looked back at Monica, taking her hand. I am so pleased for you. All in 5 years, so successful, as I knew you would be. She squeezed it back and, at once, Chandler felt that he was very far away, in the past, when it was only him and her, the times even before their friends knew and they would sneak off for walks, holding hands, hugging together. But, Dad, he heard a voice say, just behind them, she would have gotten there a lot faster if it hadn't been for you. Jack! Scolded his mother, turning to her son. How dare you speak to your dad like that? No, it's okay, said Chandler. I mean, not the way you're speaking, son, he added, but, yeah, I know that. But Jack didn't hold his counsel. Instead, closing the conservatory door, he walked up the steps that were embedded in the garden, that led to the bench, staring at his father in the glow of the outside house light. Do you? Do you really? Do you know what it was like when me and Erica were kids, you always coming in late, sleeping in at a weekend and not coming to my soccer games, or Erica's gymnastics? You had a drinking problem long before Mom lost her business, and she was supporting you, as well as taking care of us, as well as her business. Yes, I know you had that car accident, but you got addicted to those meds and you were awful to be around. Erica might not remember, but I do. It's no wonder Mom lost her business. It's no wonder she had to come back here, and have Grandma shout at her for being so stupid. And she's not stupid, despite what Grandma says. And to his mother, added, I wish you would just stand up to her, Mom. She shouldn't say things like that to you. Yes, son, said Chandler slowly when Jack had finally got off his chest everything he wanted to say. I am fully aware of the hurt and anger you all feel because of that time in my life. What is it you would like me to do in order to move on, eh? Can I go back in time to fix it? No. Can I offer support to your mother now, and congratulate her on her success now? Yes. Yes, you always want to be the knight in shining armor, Dad, said Jack, bitterly. You always go for women who aren't good enough for you. It's like you feel you don't deserve happiness. Mom, Jack turned to Monica. Have you told him yet? 'Cause there's still time. Tell me? Asked Chandler, looking at Monica. Look, Jack, said Monica, approaching her son and putting her hands on his shoulders before pulling him in for a hug. This is my life now. Your dad and I call one another to discuss you. We will always be a part of each other's lives, because we were together for so long, and have you and Erica. Yeah, Chet and Chandler, we do all we can to be as good parents as we can for you both, but for us, the ship has sailed. Sailed to England? Asked Jack slyly. England? Asked Monica, perplexed. Flown, rather. The English prig who's gone with Joey. You have to be with the theater next week for your play, Jack, reminded Chandler. Joey knew that or he would have taken you. Who's the English prig? Asked Monica, looking between Chandler and Jack. No one. Look, this is a big mistake, Jack, hold your tongue, young man. I'm not 11, Dad. Mom wants to tell you something. Yes, but now's not the right time, Jack. Another time. Maybe at your New Year's party? She added, trying to pacify her son. Yeah, he agreed, looking between his parents, before disappearing inside. Monica sat back down next to Chandler. So, Joey took a woman with him to London? Replied Chandler, noncommittally, glancing back up to the stars again. And? She's dating Joey? She's dating you? No. Snapped back Chandler, quickly. She works with me. She brings out a good side in me. She seems nice. And you call her a prig? Asked Monica. I once called her a prig, lied Chandler. And it seems to have stuck. But she's not a prig, she's just a very nice person, finished Monica, smiling. Well, you seemed a different person when you came over last night, or rather, the same person I once knew. There's just something about her, you know, when we are in each other's company, it's fun. And I was mean to her before. Something sounds very familiar if you ask me, said Monica, shaking her head to her ex. Like boys who like girls, and pull their hair and run away. Well, said Chandler, smiling and kissing her nose, I wasn't asking you. What do you want to ask me? Not now, said Monica. They hugged, and it could have been 14 years ago,